Hello, my name is Amelia Nagoski, and today I'm discussing another thing that no one ever asks me about, but it is a tool that we all carry with us all the time. It costs nothing, it weighs nothing, so it's one of the most convenient tools we have if we want to feel better right now. In the hardest times, in the most difficult of circumstances, meaning, engaging with something larger than yourself is something you always have access to, and it might be the lifeboat. It might be the thing that saves you when the ship has sunk. Why a chainsaw? Why? Whatever, chainsaw, we're just gonna have a chainsaw. Sorry. What I'm talking about is the subject of chapter 3, meaning. Meaning in life. Whatever that means. And when I say whatever that means, it's because the research into meaning in life is conclusive. It's good for you, and you should get some. Do they ever define what meaning is without using the word meaning in the definition? They do not. They do not. They haven't actually defined what meaning is. This is why people have a hard time taking research psychology seriously. Like, you can't even define your terms. Come on, do us a favor. Define your terms. But Emily and I looked at the research and we discerned what all of the studies have in common. First, meaning is engaging with something larger than yourself. And when you engage with something larger than yourself, it might be for any of 3 purposes, either to leave a legacy behind, or to heed a call to service, or to engage with and participate in a loving exchange, a loving relationship. How do I do it? What does it mean? What's the something larger I'm supposed to engage in? This is the second video where I am going to center a Disney movie. It's actually really good. I know it's problematic. I know. Disney is part of the great and powerful arena. Disney gave us this common language. They pervade our culture and they give us a shorthand kind of language to discuss ideas. I'm just one of the people who's down here using the tools that are given to me by sources that are problematic, and we all need to shoot up and demand better of the power behind the problematic. So for now, I will explain to you why I am defaulting to Disney and not just using my own examples. I did write a song about meaning, and it's back in an early draft of the book when Emily called it Vitamin Y. Get it? Y, W-H-Y, but also it's like vitamin Y because all the vitamins are named after letters. Vitamin Y. It's good for you. You should get some. I wrote a song called Cabbage to describe meaning. Here it is, and this is what I do when left to my own devices. I am intentionally not tuning my ukulele to drive home the fact that this is homemade and inferior to the industrial-made Disney story. C-A-B-B-A-G-E, meaning is a leafy green. Grow it yourself by listening, play or connect or sing with me, leaving a legacy behind, or heeding the call to serve mankind, or loving someone, that's enough. C-A-B-B-A-G-E, meaning is a leafy green. It's a cute song. I'm proud of it enough to, include it in this video. It's catchy and memorable, and you remember that, vitamin Y, you have to make your own by connecting with other people, by engaging with something larger than yourself, by leaving a legacy behind, heeding a call to serve mankind, or just loving someone. That's not bad, and I could probably make a video out of that, but there's better out there, and the problematic mouse hires good people who tell stories much better than I do. Lin-Manuel Miranda is a better lyricist than I am, and I am not ashamed to admit that because he's very good. I'm talking about Moana. I'm going to look at the development of Moana as a character through a kind of Jungian analysis of the movie. This is a method of analysis that I teach my students in my Music 101 class. And like, I really wanted the last video just to be about planful problem solving so I could talk about something I'm really passionate about. This, I really just want to make about the process of analysis using archetypes, using family systems therapy. And if you want me to make that video, please ask me to make that video. What do you mean by family systems therapy and Jungian analysis of art? Please ask me that, because I want to make that video so bad. But it's not directly related to our subject, so. But what you need to know about Jungian analysis of a work of art is that we examine the whole piece as a representation of a single self, and every character, every setting is a representation of a part of that self. This is a process that I picked up personally when I learned about Jungian dream analysis, which has been very helpful for me therapeutically, because I have alexithymia and my body doesn't really talk to me, so I have to use my dreams as a way into my subconscious. I don't know if everyone would benefit from dream analysis the way I do, but oh, try it. It might be great. Okay, so Moana is the central figure in the story and in the representation of self. And just like Joy in Inside Out, her default state is she loves her family, she loves her home, she's happy basically. But there's a part of her that is unconvinced. And the representation as an archetype of the wise old woman. The wise old woman is a character in stories over and over from all of history, from all around the world. And indeed, there's a wise old woman here, and it's Moana's grandmother. As with all wise old women, the village thinks she's like the crazy lady, but she's the guide who moves Moana on her path, who convinces her that her path is worth following even against the advice of everyone else. Moana hears a call. She has a calling to go to the ocean. Now remember that the ocean is not a separate thing. She feels it as a call out there to go to something. And that's how a lot of people experience calling. In fact, she sings, and look, I would like you to compare this directly to my Cabbage song. This is still me singing, and I tried, I could play it on the ukulele, kind of. I could do it on the ukulele, but I decided that didn't do it justice. So I enlisted my husband. Hattie, can you play the piano for me? I'm doing the words from the beginning.
Care what words you do.
I forget what the words are. If the wind in my sail stays, okay. If the wind in my sail on the sea. Okay. See the line where the sky meets the sea. It calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. The wind in my sail on the sea. If the wind in my sail on the sea. If the wind in my sail on the sea. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know how far I'll go. I married an accompanist because I have excellent taste. Yeah, so it's still me and my silly Muppet voice. But you can hear how much more sophisticated it is. It communicates the idea that there's this distant horizon that she's longing to find, and she feels this potential in herself that only she and her grandmother see as valuable. Then at the end of the movie, she's gone on this journey, and oh my God, how I want to talk about all of the Jungian archetypes that are like the demigod and the goddess. Oh, it's just full of universally recognizable archetypes. Moana goes on this long, arduous journey, and she faces these challenges, which are all very specifically representative of internal struggles. And at the end, she's ready to give up. She's frustrated. Her monitor, like we talked about in the last video, has decided that her goal is not attainable. She's pushed so hard and she's come so far, and she falls into a pit of despair, and she's about to give up. And then she sees a vision of her grandmother, the wise old woman, the part of herself that knows what the truth is, despite what every other message around her wants to convince her is true. Her grandmother sings to her, "I know who you are, and I know that you are following your heart and you're doing the right thing." And that gives Moana a new insight that her calling, her engaging with something larger than herself, it feels like engaging with, is it the ocean? Is it the goddess whose heart she's going to restore? Is it the heart itself? Again, they're all archetypes and symbols for parts of herself. That vision with her grandmother shows her a new truth, that that call does not come from the far horizon. It has always been inside her. It has always been something coming from her own heart, her own internal knowledge of what is right and true, and that she, of course, has been right all along to believe what her body and her mind are telling her in contradiction with what society seems to be insisting is true. And she sings, and the call isn't out there at all, it's inside me. It's like the tide, always falling and rising. I will carry you here in my heart, you remind me that come what may, I'll know the way. I am Moana. Thank you. And look, Auli'i Cravalho is a better singer than I am. She's literally half my age and twice as good. But I didn't want to get like copyright issues, so I'm doing like 15-second snippets because that's fair use. As a professional musician, I am familiar with copyright law. So what she's learned here is that the call isn't out there at all, it's inside her. And the truth is that our sense of meaning does not come from the something larger itself. It comes from our engagement with it, and it itself becomes a part of us, and we carry it with us. And that is the final stage of achieving meaning in your life, of knowing that you always have access to whatever your something larger is because it's part of you. Okay, so that's what meaning is, and that's how it lives inside us. As an autistic person, my experience of having a calling is intense. For stuff I'm into, I'm willing to go to conferences, to be around crowds of people. I cry in my room a lot at conferences, but I'm willing to do that because I so intensely value being immersed in whatever the thing that I love is. When Emily and I talk about this in public, we get asked a lot, well, how do I know what my calling is? How do I know what my something larger is? And the most common answer we have is, you have to listen. And sometimes it takes a long time. My identical twin sister, raised in the same house as me, never felt a calling. She stumbled through college looking for a major, looking for something she cared about. But she knew she was really interested in bike riding. So that was what she used to make her decision about grad school, that there was a movie about biking that was made on the campus of this particular university, and she was like, all right, I'll go there. And there she happened to find a world-renowned program on human sexuality, and, 2 New York Times bestsellers later, she definitely knows her calling. She stumbled into it. Like for me, my calling, I got very young. I was in the 8th grade, and my something larger that I live with came upon me like a giant wave and just swept me into a life. Basically, I have gone on that journey. The most common problem that neurotypical audiences tell us they have with the idea of meaning and engaging with something larger than themselves is that they're not sure what the something larger is, or they know what it is, or they feel sort of ashamed of it, or like it's not good enough to count. Like they're only allowed to have a sense of meaning from something that is approved by society. And I think autistic people are less susceptible to that. We are more likely to be like, I feel like I get a sense of meaning from engaging with Star Trek, from engaging with the stereotypical thing is trains, but like we feel like we're part of something larger, and because we've developed expertise, because we're connected to the thing as a whole, we're less likely to be susceptible to the pressures from society that says that our something larger is silly or trite. We might be like, I mean, maybe it is silly and trite, but it gives me a feeling of connecting to something larger than myself. It gives me a feeling of satisfaction and pride, of accomplishment, of legacy, of engaging with a community who grow love. It just occurred to me that maybe autistic people dare to joy, not because we're less susceptible to social criticism, but because we fucking have to. Because everything's so hard and we need meaning. And we make it ourselves and we know how good it feels and we need it. Because everything else is so much harder for us than neurotypical people. I'm not sure. Is it autism itself that allows us to engage with something larger than ourselves even when it gets cultural disapproval? Or is it autism itself that requires us to access that kind of satisfaction and joy and pleasure and escape into a connection with a great universal truth that every human needs, but maybe we can't get away with living without it? Lots and lots and lots of people maybe feel dissatisfied living without a sense of meaning or connectedness to something larger than themselves, but if autistic people settled for that, we'd be screwed. Because our monitors are really frustrated, and we have so much stress that completing the stress response cycle will never catch up with the backlog. And so our bodies instead give us access to something larger than ourselves to create meaning because we need it so desperately. I don't know. That just occurred to me just now. Do we do it because we have to, or do we do it because it's actually easy for us to tune out the outside world when we're immersed in a special interest? Maybe both. Probably both. I mean, everything is usually both, because everything is the interaction of opposites. Did that get a little moody, or did it suddenly get really sunny? I'm not sure. Okay, so we've taken one specific topic from the book, meaning. We defined it. I sang a song about it. That was silly and cute, but you know. And then I sang another song about it and illustrated it in a more sophisticated context. And then I speculated on how the autistic experience is different from the neurotypical experience in engaging with something larger than yourself. And now comes the part of the video where we do concrete, specific, evidence-based things you can do to feel better right now using this knowledge. Chainsaw's gone. Real quick. I'm gonna finish real quick. Well, no chainsaw. This is chapter 3, meaning. It's good for you. You should get some. How you get some is by engaging with something larger than yourself that makes you feel like you are leaving a legacy behind, heeding a call to serve mankind, or engaging in a loving relationship or community. Sorry about the noise, we're just doing this. So the first step is to identify what your something larger is, probably by remembering what activities give you any of those three feelings. Chainsaw, chainsaw. Why do my neighbors chainsaw? And the last step is engage with it. And all the while, resist any pressure you seem to feel from outside sources who say that your something larger is not worthy, that it's not special enough or important enough to matter. It doesn't matter if it's special or important to the rest of the world. It matters if it's special and important to you, because we're talking about how to help you survive in this incredibly stressful world. It's not about perfection, it's about surviving, especially when you're autistic and survival is so hard. Sorry, that got a little intense there, but I have feelings about this. And finally, when you have engaged with that something larger for a period of time, eventually you'll start to recognize that the call isn't out there at all. It's inside you. It's like the tide, always falling and rising, but you carry it in your heart at all times. When all else has failed, this is the thing that will save you. So that's it for this video. What's your something larger? What do you do to engage with it? Have you ever felt that social pressure saying that it's not important enough to matter? Have you discovered that you actually carry it inside you all the time? Have you learned to access it even when it's not physically with you? Have you found it inside yourself in times of desperate need? Let me know. And in the meantime, remember who the real enemy is, because the cure for burnout is not self-care. It is all of us caring for each other. I pressed record, I'm good.
Hi, Lucy. Thank you for saying hi.
Okay.